Hi, I'm David Alford.
And I'm Joseph Stam.
And this is Cine-pop Reacts. Today we're talking about Chaos Walking, a movie that has had its own set of chaos just in the making.
Oh, definitely. It's kind of crazy. So Lionsgate, they got the rights to this film back in 2012. They wanted to make it kind of, that was in the era of Twilight and Hunger Games.
YA books were everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, things like Hunger Games, Twilight. So they found this YA series, and they took the book The Knife of Never Letting Go, and this by Patrick Ness.
Yes.
And so popular book, they said, oh, we're going to make the next big thing with this series. And it was one problem after another.
And they hired on Robert Zemeckis, who had directed films like Back to the Future and Forrest Gump. And he left very early in the process, which was not a good sign. And from there, it just kept happening.
Writers turned over again and again and again. They couldn't get a script that worked. They finally got some people in, and they finally got it nailed down, and they finally got it into production.
That took 5 years. So then in 2017, they finally made it. It cost them over $100 million.
$100 million. Well, I don't know if it started off costing $100 million. They went into remakes and reshoots because once they got a film done in 2018, it was unwatchable.
Lionsgate said it was unreleasable, and they just couldn't even release it.
So Doug Liman, the director, went back to the chopping board and reshot a whole bunch of new stuff, drove the budget way up in the sky, which is, again, kind of what Doug Liman does.
Yeah.
There's not been many movies he's been a part of, and he's been a part of like The Bourne Identity and The Edge of Tomorrow and Go. A lot of those movies are like low-budget indies. It started off being really small things, but then had to be like reshot and reshot and reshot and reshot.
And the problem was as well because they hired on Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley for this film as well. And in 2017, they were just getting going, and then they wanted to get reshoots in 2018. But by then, their careers had taken off with Star Wars and Spider-Man. And so they couldn't actually get them till April of 2019. And by then, they looked so much different.
Then COVID kicked in when they were trying to do some reshoots.
Yes.
And they couldn't shoot because of COVID. So this movie had been plagued with problems.
Yeah.
However, it's here now. It's been set for to release 3 different times. Supposed to release back in January. No one's quite sure why that was going to happen because January is like the dead zone of releases.
Yeah.
So they pushed it to March, and there were still questions of whether it was going to happen or not. But because theaters truly aren't completely open yet.
No.
They're better. People are starting to come back to theaters, but it's very slow right now.
Yeah.
So releasing it now, $100 million film, how big of a risk is that?
Yeah. I mean, they weren't going to release it at all in the beginning.
Well, that's true.
So,
So this is better than what they've got before.
Yeah.
All right, so I saw the trailer, and honestly, I know nothing about the book. I know nothing about the movie. I just saw the trailer, and honestly, I'm not sure what it's about.
me either. I'm very confused why. I don't know why anyone's doing what they're doing. I'm confused with motivations. I'm fine with that if like that's the point, but I'm not sure if it was. If they had like a lot to kind of they didn't want you to know about, so it was a surprise, or if there's actually nothing.
Okay. All I've gathered is this place called Prentice Town, I think.
Yes.
Humans have now resettled on a different planet. Like a colony has been started there. Prentice Town's name of the colony. Humans, there's like native people on that planet who lived there before.
Yes.
And so these people are settled there. There's some sort of disease or virus, which I think is a great theme of entertainment for this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a virus and disease which has wiped out all the women on the planet.
Yes.
All those settlers, so only men are left.
And they're like their thoughts are projected.
Yes, you can see your thoughts.
Which
So
is
if
an
you think
interesting concept.
a thought appears right here, telling everyone what you're thinking. This sounds like a great place to live, doesn't it?
I know. It actually is an interesting concept. So they could have a lot of fun with that concept.
Well, it's
There's
funny to
a
hear
lot of different routes you can go with
Well,
that.
to hear the actors talking about it, though, they're like they'd be doing a scene with each other, and then the thought would like appear next to the actor, but of course there was nothing there for them to look at. So they're looking at the actor and then looking at the thought next to him, and I can't imagine acting under those circumstances.
That might be a little strange, actually.
All right, so here's the setup. So now we are going to go see the movie. We've seen nothing so far. We're going to go to the theater, in an actual movie theater where they serve real popcorn, and we're going to watch the movie. And then this is the rule, Joe. Now, I know this is your first React video.
Yes.
The rule is you cannot talk about the movie when it's over. We cannot talk about it until we come right back here to the couch.
Okay.
So all those times when you go and start telling me all these things, you're going to have to hold that. until we drive back here, sit back on the couch, and then you could let it all out. Think you can do that?
Okay. It's going to be a tough car ride.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll take a camera and let you know. All right, we're going to wrap up, and we'll be back after we see the movie. Thanks.
Wait. I'm just.
Don't say anything.
I know.
About how your weekend went, but you cannot talk about the movie.
Okay. I'm just saying.
No,
you're not.
It was great to see a movie, and I love. I love movies. I want to see more movies.
No. I can hear what you're saying. You're saying things.
No, I'm not.
Between the lines, you're totally saying
Literally,
things.
I.
How about the previews? Weren't there some good previews?
There was some darn good previews, I have to say. When I leave the movie, I
talk all the way
from there.
Yeah, we just.
Right after, as the credits go,
This is unnatural what we're doing right now.
This is very unnatural.
And we're back. Well, all I can say is that's 4.5 hours of my life I'm never getting back again. And it was only a 2-hour movie. Okay.
So I went in with an open mind.
I did too. I went in waiting to have fun.
And because I knew the whole story of it and everything, but we weren't here for that. We were here for the movie,
right.
You know, just to
The
sit there and
$100
enjoy
million
it.
movie.
And it was, where to start? I don't know.
It was terrible. That's where to start. It was a terrible film.
It just wandered. It was very, very chaotic.
It was, and it was because of the thought processes. The whole gimmick is that the male characters, their thoughts can all be seen and heard around their heads.
Yes.
15 minutes into hearing all this background chatter with the heads and the dream thing, I was ready to leave. Because honestly, it took me out of every single scene. The constant dialogue that Tom Holland's character has between his thoughts and what he's saying, to me, undermines everything an actor is trying to do. It's like taking all the things that the actor is trying to emit and project as a character and saying them all verbally aloud so that the actor has nothing left to give you.
There was a lot. I think it was an interesting concept. I think there were moments that it did work. I think there was moments that it was funny. I think they could have explored it in a lot of different ways. But I think it was kind of a missed opportunity because that was really the only thing it had going for it. Because people's motivations, I don't know where that went.
The characters were very one-dimensional.
I don't know. I know we were doing things, but I just didn't know why. A couple times I just checked out and I was like, wait a second. Why are we doing this? I know the bad guy of the movie. Don't even remember his name.
The mayor of Prentice.
The mayor, right?
Town.
Yes, the mayor. He was tracking Viola because he wanted to catch her because he wanted to get to her ship. But then beyond that, I don't know what he wanted.
Well, we didn't find out till the last 5 minutes of the movie why he was tracking her the entire film long. And the whole time we're thinking, why does he care so much? And why is he doing all these terrible things? It's just so convoluted. It was poor storytelling from beginning to the end.
Yeah.
So many times you're left in the dark wondering why people are doing anything that they're doing. And when you find out, it's not even interesting.
And you could feel those reshoots so much. It was so inconsistent. Just every single other thing, just continuity, just what we were looking at, people's faces, just
Can you believe
everything.
Christopher Ford, who wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, was a co-writer on this thing? Now, I can understand Patrick Ness, I can understand he's a book writer. So him having trouble with the screenplay, I can understand. But Christopher Ford wrote a brilliant screenplay for Spider-Man Homecoming. He co-wrote this mess.
And Tom Holland is Tom Holland. He does his best to make this work. And there was a couple times, that I laughed or something for the right reasons because of him.
Okay, but let me.
There was other times I laughed for the wrong reasons, not because of him.
I like Tom Holland.
I do.
I have never seen Holland give a bad performance, but he struggled with this one.
Yeah.
I could see the gears and I could see the strings.
Yeah.
And everything he was doing. And I think it was because the writing one was so terrible, and the setup between the thoughts and the dialogue left nothing again for the actors to do.
Yes, and what was tough with Daisy Ridley's character is that everyone else's thoughts are projected, and you know everything they're thinking, and she doesn't talk for like however long.
First 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
20 minutes of the movie, and she just doesn't, like, there's not much coming from her, so she's trying to do all these things and come up with all these things that just aren't written there because she's not saying anything. There's nothing to do.
I'm just so glad they brought Nick Jonas into the movie. Because I'm not exactly sure why he was there. His character could be summed up in about 2 lines.
Every once in a while, he would just
walk on set.
He would just walk he would just walk on, and he would be like, "Dad, I could do something. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry."
And that's it. That was all he did the entire movie.
That's all he did.
Okay, so let's talk about these spackle monsters. These spackle, I shouldn't say monsters, they were natives of the planet that this human colony had settled on.
Yes, yeah.
We had one scene with one spackle.
Were they the same ones that the mayor was saying that killed all the women?
They were blamed for all the terrible things that had happened in the film.
Okay.
And they were not pleasant-looking creatures,
Yeah.
so it was easy just to believe they were monsters who had done terrible things.
Yeah.
So they're brought in for one scene of the movie and never talked about again. And you're wondering, first of all, the name Spackle. I don't know.
Spackle.
I just keep thinking I've got some painting to do at home. That's all I could think of with the name Spackle. And they were really, again, not part of the story. They were about as part of it as Nick Jonas was. Between Nick Jonas and Spackle,
yeah,
they were like just brought in for like one beat and then kind of drifted off unimportantly into the background. I'm thinking, what were the writers thinking on this thing?
5 minutes of screen time, probably.
one battle scene.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about this preacher, Aaron. So the colony, the human colony, had a minister named Aaron, and this man was beyond unbelievable. He was his character. I don't know who the actor is. I think it was David Oyelowo. I think was him. I think that was him. I couldn't tell. Anyhow, this character was brought in to do nothing but besmirch Christianity. I think I couldn't think of any other reason for him to be there other than to make everyone who has religious beliefs look terrible.
Well, I didn't know what he was saying or what his motivation was. He just kept saying things about sinners and hell and things, and I didn't know why. And then he was saying things, and then he wanted to find Viola for a different thing than the mayor did, because he was like, I want to, like, she needs to be a sacrifice or something. And then he was like, no, she doesn't, and why? And then he said something about sinners.
He was just there to do terrible things.
I don't know.
If you could think of anything evil and awful to do, they gave it to him, and then he chanted religious things while he did it. And there was really no other point to that character at all.
Yeah, I really don't know what they were trying to do with him, and I do, but I don't understand. There was no motivation as well. Motivation, there was none.
And so when there's no motivation, it's hard to care about any of the characters.
Yeah.
Because you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And so it's hard to be interested in their struggles. And that's what I found. The first 20 minutes of the movie was just rapid cut from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene. Each scene containing about 20 to 30 seconds of information that honestly could be handled in about 5 seconds, and then you're just waiting for something to happen. And then we cut to a whole new situation, and now you're trying to figure out where we are now. 10 seconds of information. We jumped to another, and we did that for like 20 minutes of the movie. I was really done at that point. Not only did I not know what was going on, I didn't care what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, it didn't look bad. Like, you could look at it.
It's a pretty movie, I guess. Lots of woods. My producer brain was just thinking, this was inexpensive. We have Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland walking through the woods.
Oh, no, it wasn't, though. It cost over $100 million.
Where did they spend it? It couldn't have been on those trees. I got tickled at one point. Daisy Ridley's character, Viola, steals a motorcycle or a futuristic motorcycle and takes off through the woods.
Yeah.
And all I can think is the Return of the Jedi with those rider bikes going through the redwood forest. And it was Daisy Ridley from Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah,
my brain totally went off into Return of the Jedi land, and I think I lived there for about 15 minutes because there was nothing on the screen.
There was multiple
pulling me
times
back.
that happened. Yeah.
I was like a little too on the nose on that one.
Especially in the beginning when she was like in the ship and everything and
spaceship,
doing things and stuff. I was like, oh, wrong movie. Sorry.
Okay, so Doug Liman directed Bourne Identity, and that was one of the first movies that really used the whole shaky cam thing.
Yes.
And Doug Liman loves his shaky cam.
He does.
In fact, there was so much shaky cam in this movie that there were times when I couldn't tell you anything that was happening on the screen because the whole thing was shaking up and down so violently I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, and then it was over, and then you were like, what? What happened?
I'm sure something happened in those few minutes of shaky cam, but I couldn't tell you what it is because it's so shaky you can't see anything.
And here's the thing, and sometimes in the Bourne movies it was done well, and so that it added an element to the action, but it doesn't always. Just because it works once doesn't mean it works, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and it didn't work, and it doesn't work.
But did it work though? Jeff? That's what I want to.
It doesn't work. I just couldn't. Yeah, so many times you couldn't tell what was happening, because of you didn't understand the story. So many times you couldn't tell what was happening because
The plot didn't
you
make any
literally
sense.
couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah, this was a flop. And, and it's sad because I like everybody involved in this movie.
Yeah.
And I know this movie struggled over 10 years being made. My thought is, my goodness, they worked on that script for 10 years, and this is what they came up with? Wow. What happened? That's all I can say. What happened?
You can... I eventually... I was not as critical of it as you are because I was just so happy to be back in a theater. So honestly, I was just like, wow, that looks amazing. And it was just like, that I was just happy about. So...
But the dialogue was terrible.
I know.
The lines were so predictable. The jokes weren't funny. They fell flat nearly every time. There was one good joke. I laughed one time. You heard me.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But then what it was Tom Holland's characters because his thoughts were heard. Mm-hmm. It was embarrassing because thoughts he was having about Daisy's character were being said next to him.
Yeah.
And it was a funny moment or shown in the vision, and it was a funny moment.
Right.
However, we did that same bit in a different way 8 more times in the movie.
Yeah.
It was funny that first time. The next 7 times I was like, yeah, kind of been there, done that. Thanks.
And back to
Got anything else?
What you were saying about like kind of seeing the actor struggle and the gears turning and stuff. You could just see that. You could see them trying to bring charisma and jokes to it, and it was kind of painful because you saw how hard they were working, with what wasn't there.
So it's a shame. I mean, all this talent, all this money spent on this movie, and what do we have to show for it? Is a movie that you should probably pass on, unless you're just the biggest Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley fan on planet Earth. You get to see him for 2 hours.
Yes.
Enjoy that.
And you can look at it. It's like a fine-looking film.
It looks fine, although I was baffled at one point when the spackle set, they come over a horizon, there's this huge spackle village and this giant lake, and it was a fascinating piece of artwork, and it looked cool, and I was like, oh, hey, finally something interesting is going to happen. We looked at that set, never went to it, never went back to it, and moved back into the woods where we wandered through the woods some more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why did we have that set there? We never referenced it. We never used it. And we never talked about it.
Yeah.
We just moved on.
And I also didn't know who it wanted to be for. Because the content was kind of strange as well. Like, I was surprised with the amount of language and stuff that was in it.
Yeah, gratuitous, like purposeless language.
Right.
Just for the sake of throwing in curse words.
Right. And there was just random things that was like, this seems like it would be geared like more towards kids and stuff, especially with
in the original
how
book
lazily it's like
put together,
handled and stuff.
Well, in the original storybook, the main character that Tom Holland plays is 13 years old.
Yeah.
Well, Tom may have been 13 when they started this movie. Maybe even when they cast him in the movie years ago, but he's not 13 anymore. He's probably my age. He's probably in his 50s. He just looks like he's 16. Either way, they put Tom in this role that was written for a 13-year-old in the book, and in some ways felt like it was still written for a 13-year-old. And the way he handles himself, he comes across as very much a boy man, a boy child. But Tom Holland's not that young anymore, so it was a little awkward to see this grown man delivering lines that could have been said by a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough. So in short, I'm afraid this one I can't recommend.
No.
Not in good conscience.
No.
So we're going to say it's a big pass from Cine-pop on this one. But we hope next time to bring you better news for a better movie. Anything nice we can say? I want to end on a high note. Anything nice we can say? I want to say something nice.
Hope to see people in better movies.
Okay, well, with that, we're signing off, and thanks for watching Cine-pop. Turn into the review, which will be on our website starting on Thursday. A written review covering this movie, plus a bunch of reviews from the new things that have coming out on Disney+, Netflix, and other movies as well. So I hope you'll stay tuned and check it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.